have to start with the clinical evaluation report. Okay, so first of all, what is a clinical evaluation report that we will discuss? So clinical evaluation report is nothing but it is a report which is written for, like the PSUR and all, it is written for the drugs and medicines, and clinical evaluation report CER, it is written for the medical devices. Okay, so a deep review of data relevant to the clinical use of a medical device is summarized in a clinical evaluation report CER. All clinical data sources are taken into account along with some non-clinical testing data that may have an impact on the device benefit risk analysis. So first of all, I want to know from you that you all know what is a medical device. Actually, we can define medical devices, any instrument which is used for the diagnosis, treatment or management of any disease. So that is known as any disease or any condition that is known as a medical device. Okay, so medical device for writing the so now there are various medical devices which are classified as high risk medical device when they are implanted into the body or when they are coming in direct contact with the body, like with the blood fluids, like with blood, or they are coming in contact with the mucous membrane, mucus of the body. So they may have some adverse effects. So just to analyze the benefit and risk which are associated with the use of that medical device, the clinical evaluation report is submitted in European Union. Okay, so clinical evaluation report is what? It is a deep review of data relevant to the clinical use of a medical device, and it is summarized. So the review of the data which is available related to the clinical use of a medical device, so that is summarized in a report which is known as clinical evaluation report. So all clinical data sources are taken into account along with some non-clinical testing data that may have an impact on the device risk benefit analysis. When considered as a whole, the data in the clinical evaluation report offer a full understanding of the performance and safety of a device and serve as a foundation for deciding whether the device has an acceptable benefit risk ratio for the use for which it is intended. Okay, so now the clinical evaluation report, it offers a full understanding of the safety performance, like how safely the medical device is performing when it is coming in contact with the body, and also coming in contact with the body or body fluids, and also it is decided that whether the device has an acceptable benefit risk ratio. So as it is with the drugs, so same is with the devices as well. So device should also have an acceptable benefit risk ratio so that it can be used as it is, so that it can be used for which it is designed or for which it is manufactured. Okay, then setting a plan and establishing the clinical evaluation scope are the first steps. So now the clinical evaluation report, so making the plan on and all, it is divided into several stages. So now when we set a plan or when we establish a clinical evaluation report, like what is the objective of clinical evaluation report, what is the scope, why this clinical evaluation report is written. So those are the first steps. The clinical evaluation plan CEP outlines the devices that will be the focus of the CER, including their dimensions, intended uses, target patient demographics, and clinical benefits for patients. Okay, so clinical evaluation plan, it outlines that the devices that outlines that the devices will be focused on the clinical evaluation report, and what are the dimensions, what is the software which is used. Okay, and for what purpose the the medical device is being used, in what target population the medical device is being used, what is the clinical benefits of a medical device. So all that information needs to be also on the basis of all that information, the clinical evaluation plan is made. So finding the device's accessible data and choosing a method for a literature review are the next steps in the clinical evaluation report creation process. So now when the clinical evaluation report is created or this document is being prepared, so there are some information which can be collected from in-house. There are some in-house reports which can be collected. Okay, and from those in-house reports, the data can be collected, and other data is available from the literature review of that of that process. So when literature review of that process is done, so from there also the clinical evaluation report or the data can be included or collected for writing this clinical evaluation report. It can be difficult to develop a standard template to organize all of a company's clinical evaluation reports because the contents of a CER vary depending on the type of medical device and its regulatory history. Okay, so now for writing the clinical evaluation report, there is no standard template as such. Okay, the contents of clinical evaluation report also vary depending upon that what is the type, what is that type of medical device and what is its regulatory history. So accordingly the content of the clinical evaluation report is decided. To ensure a clinical evaluation report is thorough, the following general contents should be evaluated for inclusion. That is, you have to provide this particular information in the clinical evaluation report about the device. That is, the device description, uses information, regulatory background, and device classification. So the device description, in which you have to write about the device, what is its use, what is its specification, mechanical specification, if there is any software which is used along with the device. So the software specification also you have to provide. Then how the medical device is being used, for how much time it is in coming in contact with the body, whether it is a reusable device or it is used for one time only. Then what is the regulatory background, and also the device classification. Now medical devices, they are classified into 3 classes depending upon the risk which is associated with the use of that device. That is class 1, class 2, and class 3. So you have to mention that to which class does this medical device belongs. Then an overview of your device clinical history and its intended use. So the overview of device clinical history, like what is the clinical history of the device, for what purpose it is being used, and how it is being used. Like it can be used by a lay person, like anyone can use it, or it has to be used by any qualified professional. Like for example, glucometer. So glucometer can be used by anyone, but on the other hand, dialysis machine. So dialysis machine is only used by the expert professionals. Okay. Then systematic recorded researches of the existing clinical literature and clinical practice, recommendations to produce a comprehensive assessment and evaluation of the state of the art and is relevant and ultimately necessitates a skilled medical review. So now there are systematic and recorded searches which are going on, which is related to existing literature and clinical. So from the existing literature, from the literatures, from clinical trials and all, whatever information is available relevant to the medical device or the condition of the medical device in a current states. Okay, so current state, which is known as a state of art. In that particular stage, the information which is available related to the use of the medical device, so that information needs to be submitted. Okay, then after that, next is the demonstration of compatibility to other devices supported by relevant technical, biological, and clinical aspects. So now demonstration of, so now along with this medical device, there might be other medical devices which are available. Okay, and which are available. So the brief information about that medical device. Okay, so in comparison to that medical device to the alternative device which is available, so the information should be provided related to the relevant technical, biological, and clinical aspects, like how the medical device for which we are writing this clinical evaluation report is clinical evaluation report is biologically, technically, and clinically better than the other medical devices which are already available. Then data from non-clinical tests summarized. So in case if non-clinical tests or non-clinical studies are conducted in case of medical devices, so the data which is obtained from the non-clinical studies, so that information is to be provided. Okay, then a summary of sales, customer service issues, clinical information retained by the manufacturer, and additional post-marketing monitoring information. So if there is any summary of sales related to the sale, if there is any information which is available related to the sales of a medical device, related to the customer service issues, like if any customer has complained about the device, about its working, about its working, or has complained about any adverse effect which is associated with the use of the medical device, and also any clinical information which is available to the manufacturer, or any additional post-marketing monitoring information which is available to the manufacturer. So that all summary should be provided in the clinical evaluation report. Then next is systematic documented searches of published clinical trial reports and other clinical data to produce an in-depth analysis of the clinical experience with your technology or an equivalent, again necessitating a certified medical review. So in the form of a review, like in the form of a literature review, all the information should be available relevant to the study, like information which is available from the published clinical trial reports, and the information which is available from other clinical data, to produce in-depth analysis along with the clinical experience with the technology or any equivalent information, if it is available, related to the device from the literatures which are published. So in the form of a review, that information can be presented. Then data on device usability summarized. So depending upon the use of the device, the data can be summarized. Okay. Then evaluation of the usefulness, acceptability, applicability, caliber, and importance of the facts at hand. So evaluation of that, how useful the device is, what is the applicability of the device, what is the caliber. Caliber means caliber, you can say that calibrated. Okay, the devices, like for example, the laboratory instruments and laboratory glasswares, they are calibrated. So in the same way, the medical device also needs to be calibrated, and importance of the facts which is available related to the usefulness and compatibility of the medical device. Then a description of the procedures and criteria used to evaluate the clinical advantages, safety, and benefit risk ratio. So now what is a procedure which is used, or how the risk benefit analysis and the clinical advantages of the risk benefit of the medical device can be evaluated. And then this, at the end, you have to provide the summary of risk benefit analysis which is associated with the use of the drug. Okay, so all this information is presented in the clinical evaluation report. So now you can understand that the information which should be presented in the clinical evaluation report, that is somewhat same as that of the PSUR or PBRER, which is submitted to the regulatory authorities for analyzing the risk and benefit analysis, which is related to the use of any drug. So in the same way, for medical devices, the clinical evaluation report is submitted. Okay. So now in general, what should be the content of the medical device, that we will discuss. So when we talk about a medical device, so the medical devices are CE marked. Like you must have seen on various electronic devices also that they are CE marked, and on those electronic devices, like if you're using any mouse right now, any charger right now, so on that also the CE marking is provided, and there is a symbol which is made. It is like this, C and E. So you can see this type of symbol which is present, or which is made there, so which is available on any kind of medical device. So this CE marking is very important in European Union. Okay, and this CE marking indicates that the medical device is competent and it is safe to be used on humans if it is used as per IFU. IFU is instructions for use. Okay, so now in all the CER, the information related to this information should be presented, that is device description, design features, intended purpose or warnings or contraindications as per IFU, risk management documents, current knowledge or state of the art, data sources, example, in-house reports or published literature. Like in all the CER, information related to the device, that what is the description of the device, what is the device, Okay, what are the designing features of the device? What is the intended purpose? Means for what purpose or in what indication the device is being used, and any warnings or contraindications which are associated with the use of the device. So that is also provided as per IFU. IFU is instructions for use. Like in many medical devices, you must have seen, suppose if you have seen a glucometer, so in that you have seen there is a booklet or a pamphlet or a brochure type of paper is available, and in that paper is available, and in that paper, if or in that brochure, how to use that medical device, what are the instructions, what are the step-by-step procedure for using that medical device is written. Then data sources, example in-house reports and published literature. So any so the data from the data sources, any information which is available related to the in-house reports or any information which is available as a published in a form of a published literature, so that information is provided. Now the medical device, if they are CE marked or if they are not CE marked, so now if the devices are CE marked, or then the information which is the additional information which is submitted, that is this information is included: relevant changes in design and materials or instructions for use, etc. Newly emerged clinical concerns, PMS, new data, or PMS planning. PMS is post-marketing studies. Okay, so in all the CE mark device, this additional information is also required. That is, if there are any relevant changes in that particular year in design, material, or instructions for use, or any newly emerged concerns from the post-marketing studies in that particular year, and also what is the planning for post-marketing studies in that particular year. So that information is submitted in the CE marked device. The next is before CE marking, means before CE marking means before the studies are not like before the medical devices, they have not got CE marked, they have not got CE marking, and maybe they are in process of getting the CE marked, or they have applied for CE marking to the notified bodies, but so they have, maybe they will having they are having any number or a form number or a license number. Okay, generally the form number is there or the registration number is there. So in that you have to submit. So whatever the status of the medical device is, so you have to submit the equivalent data. Okay, so now we will see in this column, it is in this column, it is written that what are the contents, what should be the content of a medical device like this clinical evaluation report. So first is the summary. So summary is a very succinct summary you have to write of not exceeding more than 2 pages. Okay, and it contains all the information about the medical device. What is a medical device? What is its uses? And in what condition, indication the medical device is used? Any information which is available from the post-marketing studies, PMS. So that information is also provided. The next you have to write about what is the scope of the clinical evaluation. So this clinical evaluation report which is being written, so what is the scope of this clinical evaluation, or what is the purpose or objective of writing this clinical evaluation report? This you have to write. Next is the clinical background, current knowledge, state of the art. So the clinical background information which is relevant to the study, and the information which is relevant to the medical device, what is the clinical background of the device, for what purpose it is being used, and how the medical device it is being used, in what indication it is used, and the current knowledge, state of the art means the current status of that device in the market, or current, what is the status, or what is the information, current information which is available relevant to the device. So that is submitted. Then after that you have to write the information about the device which is under evaluation. So like you have to write what type of evaluation it is: biological evaluation, technical evaluation, clinical evaluation. So what type of evaluation it is, that you have to write. Then demonstration of equivalence if claimed. So demonstration of equivalence means that you have to show a comparative study of the medical device in comparison to the other alternative medicines which are available. So that will show the demonstration equivalence, and demonstration of equivalence is also seen as biological equivalence, technical equivalence, and clinical equivalence. Then clinical data generated and held by the manufacturer. So the clinical data which is available, which is generated, and which is held, or which the manufacturer is having, and that information can be collected from the clinical trials which are conducted, or any in-house testing, or any procedure which is done on the medical device. So from there, if any data is available, that is written. Then clinical data from literature. So any information which is available from the published literature, the literature which are published related to that medical device. So any information which is available from any of the published literature, so that you have to include. Then summary and appraisal of clinical data. So summary and appraisal of the clinical data means the data, the literatures which are screened or which are available. So the summary or the data which is available, or what are the significant findings from those literatures. So that information is submitted in the summary form, so which is known as summary and appraisal of the clinical data. Then analysis of the clinical data, the data which is obtained from various clinical studies. So the analysis of that clinical data is done, that what is the requirement on safety. So what is the requirement, or what is the requirement, or what instructions are to be followed which are relevant to the safety of the drug. Requirement on acceptable risk balance, benefit risk profile. So what is the requirement, whether the requirement is acceptable, or the risk benefit profile of the drug, of the medical device which is being set up. So that is acceptable or not. Requirement on performance, like the data is provided depending upon what is the performance of the medical device. And requirement on acceptability of side effects. So side effects which are reported with the use of the medical device. So to see whether these side effects are acceptable or not. So analysis of the clinical data is done, and it is required to see that whether the side effects of the drug, it is acceptable or not. Then after that, you have to write the conclusions. Okay. So conclusion you have to provide. Then what is the date of the next clinical evaluation? So when the next clinical evaluation will be done. So generally there is a gap of 1 year. So annually, this clinical evaluation report, it is also submitted annually, once in a year. So in case if the medical device is newly placed in the market and it is having more side effects, so in that case, or more side effects or serious side effects, so in that case, the clinical evaluation report, it is submitted annually. And in case with certain medical devices which are already placed in a market, which has completed at least, successfully completed at least time of 5 to 6 years or 10 years, and there is no complaint regarding medical device, or any serious or life-threatening adverse effect is not reported, so that is the date of next clinical. So that is the date of next clinical. So that is that 1 year gap should be given as a date of next clinical evaluation. In case if the device is already placed in the market, it has completed the like the time span of at least 5 to 10 years, and there are no adverse effects which are reported as such, which are life-threatening or very frequent or very serious. In that case, the clinical evaluation can be written or can be submitted once in 2 years or once in 5 years, as the instructions given by the regulatory authorities. Okay. Then next you have to write the dates and the dates and signatures of the clinical evaluators. Then qualification of the responsible evaluators. So what are the qualification of the evaluators that you have to write? And that through with that you have to give the references. Okay, so references of the articles or the information which is used for writing this medical device. So these are the content which is there, not exactly, but the general contents which should be there in a clinical evaluation report. Okay, understood everyone? Is it clear? So now what is the cycle of CER? So CER cycle, it starts with stage 0, then stage 1, then stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. So stage 0, we are planning and scoping how the clinical evaluation report will be done. So clinical evaluation planning is done, and what will be the scope and objective of the clinical evaluation report. So that is presented. Then stage 1 is identification of pertinent data. So like the data is collected from various sources, literature sources, from in-house data, and from the post-marketing studies. So the data is collected from there. Then stage 2 is appraisal of pertinent data. So appraisal means the quality assessment of the data which is obtained or which is identified from various sources. So that is done. Then stage 3 is analysis of clinical data. So clinical data which is collected, that is analyzed. Okay. And then after that, stage 4 is clinical evaluation report or post-marketing study plan is presented. So now after that, when the data is analyzed and then after that it is presented in the clinical evaluation report. So clinical evaluation report or which contains the post-marketing surveillance or post-marketing study plan also for the next year. So that is submitted to the regulatory authorities. Okay.